Tim Yip is an award-winning visual artist who has contributed a unique visual style to the worlds of theater, dance, art and film. He has worked with many prominent film directors and artists around the world and is an Academy Award-winning art director. Yip began his career as an art director for director John Woo's Hong Kong classic gangster film, A Better Tomorrow. From there, Yip became a prominent art director, costume designer and production designer in film productions and operas in Hong Kong and Taiwan. Tim has also introduced his concept of New Orientalism, which has spanned across films, dance, theater and opera, and is about communicating the ideas and aesthetics of Chinese culture to an international audience. In 1999, Tim Yip collaborated with acclaimed director An Lee in the martial arts blockbuster Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The film was a box office success all around the world and won many awards, including winning yet an Academy Award for Best Art Direction. In addition to films, Tim Yip has been a strong presence on the stage. He has been the set and costume designer of many productions with award-winning British dancer and choreographer Akram Khan, and was the set and costume designer for the San Francisco Opera's production of Dream of the Red Chamber. Tim Yip has held many exhibitions showcasing his costumes, photographs, installations and videos around the world. Featured in these exhibitions is his niece Lily, a fiberglass mannequin that Yip brings to different places around the globe. All across Asia and Europe, Yip places Lily in various locations and has the mannequin engage in social activities in bars, restaurants or on the street. We caught up with Yip at his studio in Beijing to discuss his career. Tim, welcome to Icon. Actually, we met about
several years,
10, 12 years ago for Culture Express. And I'm so glad we have this chance again to talk. And this time, our conversation will be accompanied by an audience here. This is actually your latest project, a major project. What is it called? Lily? As
Lily.
In Chinese?
Lily, yeah.
Lily.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Lily is like a shadow of us. When we pass through her, we can go to anywhere that we never been, but we experience in the pictures. So that she always happens in some pictures that it exists all over the world, in some moment, some particular moment, but in a normal way. But she is act into the moments. In ancient Chinese theory, they have one thing is really important, is the being or unbeing is in the same place. If something exists or non-exists, is in the same place. So that it's like a reflection of the reality and the non-reality. They have like a reflection.
Okay.
So I put her in some place that we are really familiar with. Maybe like a light market to people where they are sitting in the one table, they're eating. This is a really normal things that we can remember.
Right.
Because we have experienced a lot. But when I act Lily inside, it's something like we have another angle of seeing the same things. This is a normal thing in our memory and our experience. But when we add her there, it becomes something special.
You could put a camera over there, and then with the camera, from that angle, you watch what is happening around it. It's a different idea.
It's a different idea. I want to record the real thing, the real time, what happened in time. In some place like some light market in Hong Kong, they're always being torn down. Yeah. And no more exists in 5 years later. But I take the pictures where Lily is sitting in the same place, where people eating, so that the time is freezing in her world. After 5 years, we can pick up the pictures to put in the normal times pictures, so that when two pictures put together in her system, they're at the same time. Because time in her is become 0 time. So that they don't have date.
Right.
When we put her inside the picture, the day will be disappear. Because every picture will be the same time. Every time is the same moment. Because they don't have differences now.
She's eternal, basically. She's always the same, right? Yeah. How old is she?
I think she's almost like 17.
17.
Because at that time, people is a new experience of everything. They don't have real fixed idea. So that when they see things, it's like the first time to see.
Always fresh.
The part of fresh and innocent, and they don't have definition. I think this is what I want the eyes to put in the eyes, that the innocent eye to see over again the world.
Now, Dame, I've seen some of the pictures, because basically you're now taking her around the world. Where have you traveled so far together?
We come to London Fashion Week.
Did you design a fashion?
No. We go to. No, I'm not designing something for her.
As a fashion designer, you're not designing it for your own.
Yeah, no.
Really?
Never. She's just dressing something belongs to the pictures.
To fitting the environment.
Yeah, because I need the time quality. It's not design quality.
It's not the design.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is important.
You went to Europe. You went to London.
And I buy costume there for her.
Oh, okay.
So that she look like she is from there. And I try to copy the people who dress, you know,
the way they dress.
Yeah, the way they dress.
It's somehow, you know, we experience as human beings, we experience all kinds of scenarios in our real life, right? You know, different parts of the world. We don't really often go back to the same location to witness what's happened on that location. Lily can go back, travel back to time.
But I think this is an interesting idea for me, is that I can use another time to recording time. It's not that the way that we have, because every time is dead. But when I take her to the place and I record this time, the time becomes infinity. They link up to an infinity world, so that I can take pictures of her in 10 years before, and after I take pictures in 10 years after, in the same place, same person, you can see the person is changed, but she is not changed. So that every time he taking the pictures, we see her inside, it's become something symbolic, something abstract. So when they put all together, I will have a artwork later to have the whole world with hundreds of these pictures. But every picture is a different moment of the world, and she is in there, and recording the 100 moments of the world existing, so that when we see her, all the time becomes the same. So all the human activity becomes something that can seen at once. It's parallel.
And that is where you build up the connection between Lily and everyone who might be there watching all those pictures.
And because there is no definition, when you're seeing that, you will put your definition on her. So that it's become something that I believe the contemporary art should belongs to the people when you're watching it. It's not like I have to study the concept to know what is the art about. I think the art is floating. It's like life. It's like the moment of life. So that when you see the pictures, you will put your emotion, you will put your memory to fulfill the emptiness.
A guide who is challenging your claim to the Mongol throne. I am the future Khan of Mongolia. It's an act of war.
You've also worked for, American drama, that Marco Polo 1 and 2. How did that happen? How did that work out?
Oh, that one is from my friends, because I have a good friend in that show. It's called John Fusco. He invites me to that show for 3 years. It's like many years ago. And then they don't work out. The script not work out in China, so that we cannot do it. Just pass through. And after 3 years, he called me again. He said, "Oh, now we have the." We can start now.
We have the project.
Yeah, we have the project, and we have Harvey Weinstein, we have Nafis. Nafis give the money, Harvey Weinstein to produce.
Everyone in position.
They will make me, it's quite interesting, like all these people can work together. And they will have some new idea coming. That's what I believe. Yeah. So that I go to the show. But at that time, I'm working in another big show with Franco Jagon. So I can't go. They want me to do the set and the costume. Yeah. But I can't do that because I don't have enough time. So that I just do the costume. And I jump in and I give the art director some direction. And then we started doing on that. But this is really, really interesting because at the beginning I have a chance to go to Mongolia and go to Kazakhstan to shooting, so that I know more about Mongolian. And their Mongolian ways of speaking, you know, they're seeing the whole history. They give me a lot of inspiration. It seems like when we sitting in China to seeing this history, it's different from what they're seeing the history. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So this part is really interesting because Mongolian for them is a really big thing in Western. But in China, the Mongolian is really small. We don't have so much expert to talk about this. So I have to combine two things to thinking what it should look like.
It's going back to the, you know, the roots, to trying to find out the reasons for why you do what you do.
Yeah.
The way you do it.
So that we have a lot of research with all the. It's totally outside our film territory. I mean, you know, in the Chinese film territory, maybe we will get the same reference.
The story of a warrior. The woman he loved. A daring outlaw. And a princess destined to become a warrior. Classics proudly presents Chow Yun-fat, Michelle Yeoh, Zhang Ziyi in an extraordinary romantic adventure. From Ang Lee, the director of Sense and Sensibility.
But you design for a Western audience, you design for a Chinese audience. How different can that be?
The more important thing is who you are cooperate with. You know, like I cooperate with Ang Lee. We go to the really deep origin of everything, really deep origin of China, really deep. We can feel free to do that. But if we go to work with Chinese director or go to a Western director, they have some technique inside, you know what I mean? You have to know what they can do. It's not you give them everything correct and they will do the correct things. You know what I mean?
It's the communicative skills.
No, it's about what they want. It's about, I think all good director, but what is their direction? I just want to say, maybe we go to doing Counting Tiger Hidden Dragon. We have the same goals. We know something missing in China, so that we put our effort to doing this. We want to realize it. We want people to see it, so that we will be really close together to want to do something important.
You were working in the same direction, toward the same direction.
Some spirit too, yeah. The same spirit, to want to get something back. Yeah.
And that's the project, that's the film that won you the Academy Award.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you expect that to happen at the time?
No.
You were just basically focusing.
But when I'm there, I expect it.
Because you were invited.
Yeah, yeah.
You knew it. You knew it would happen. Because at the time, all these Golden Globes and everything.
Yeah, yeah. We go every day together, you know, to speak.
What did it mean to you personally?
You're doing the right things, in the right angle, right time. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? Every job I make, I have the expectation of being successful.
Be recognized.
Not be recognized. I don't care about recognized.
Okay.
It's to be success. Success is mean moving people. People see it. They are feeling. They are being burned. They want to do something when they see this show. This is what I want. You know, to make people feel alive. You are watching Icon on CGTN. I'm Timmy.
What's interesting with Tim is that he's keeping everything very open, which means it's more loose, so he can have many different ideas. and it doesn't have to be anything very specific. I think at some stage we'll have to make a decision, of course, all of us, but for the time being it's like an onslaught of so many ideas. It's quite incredible actually. He comes up every week with 30 or 30 more images and ideas that he has.
One of Tim Yip's frequent collaborators is British dancer and choreographer Akram Khan. Born in London into a family from Bangladesh, Khan performs contemporary dance and a classical Indian dance called Kathak.
Because I worked with Akram for so long, and we became really good friends at the first sight, and it's like we are the same family.
You speak the same language, yeah?
Yeah. We're in the same spirit, I think. He is a really successful choreographer, and then he is really used to traditional classical dance. It's really powerful. I really know my culture, I think, so that when we go together, we don't talk about culture anymore. We just talk about what happened on stage. And then we go together to his family. He's like a Bangladesh, and he go to Beijing and visit my place. And we are really close to each other. Because I work for him for free show.
Tim Yip first collaborated with Khan as the visual designer for Desh, a contemporary solo performance by Khan himself about his personal journey between his birthplace of London and his parents' country of Bangladesh. The show received great acclaim, with the New York Times praising Tim Yip's work as important as the dance.
The first show, I create a fabrics wall. The fabrics is one piece by piece fabric, but it's can be full the stage and can be empty the stage. So that this is really, really oriental between India and China, about emptiness. So I put this as like a reflection of the river of Bangladesh, because Akram living in London, and his father said that you have a land, please come back to pick up your land, because this is from the interest for our family. So when he come back to the lands, he can't find the place, because the place is under the water. And the water is full of the plants inside, so that to make the water to be dead water, because you cannot have fish, anything there. But we go together to the place, to the river, and then use two small animals to pick up the little fish for their living. So that we experience that together, to see his hometown, something happen like this. So that I create a reflection. He is also upside down with all the reflection. So the fabric is like a reflection of the glass and trees of the water.
Tim Yip would again collaborate with Khan in Until the Lions, a retelling of the Mahabharata, a major Sanskrit epic of ancient India. Combining contemporary dance with classical Indian dance, Until the Lions concerns the warrior Bhishma, played by Khan, who abducts the princess Amba and renders her unmarriageable. Amba vows vengeance, kills herself, and is reborn as Shikandi, who magically changes gender in order to kill Bhishma in battle.
And the second one, we create a wall. It's the round stage. Everybody looking in the same place, and I make the ground to be brick at the end. So that this is something that also talking about the world and human, and the mythology power.
The third collaboration between Tim Yip and Akram Khan was a reimagining of a classic romantic ballet, Giselle, which is the story of a village girl betrayed by a nobleman. This new Giselle, performed with the English National Ballet dancers, was in a contemporary setting, with the villagers becoming migrant workers and the noblemen being the wealthy class.
And the third one is Giselle. Giselle, maybe you know the story, right? They have a noble class. They have the refugee class. We make all the village people become refugees, so that I create a wall. It's the same size of the stage, so that when the show open, we just see a wall and people pushing the wall down to the right, to the upstage, and then the wall can be turned, so that it's become changing, dividing two areas. One is the noble, one is the common people. They don't have any chance to be connect.
In 2016, the San Francisco Opera premiered Dream of the Red Chamber, an English-language opera adaptation of the book of the same name, which was written by 18th century Qing dynasty writer Cao Xueqing and is considered a masterpiece in Chinese literature. The story follows the lives of the Jia family, whose good fortune is assured when one of its daughters becomes an imperial concubine and then declines after her downfall. The story centers on the love triangle consisting of the main character, Bao Yu, his beautiful cousin Dai Yu, and his future wife, another beautiful cousin named Bao Chai. When you design the set, the costumes for a foreign audience, who might have no idea about what this story is about, I mean, do you have any special considerations in it?
When I'm doing this show in San Francisco, then nothing about Chinese we can buy there, and all we can buy is the Chinatown things.
Okay.
So I don't use anything of that. So I use the Western things, but I make the custom. The cutting is from Western technique, but it look like Chinese. You know what I mean? This is a tricky, but a magic. But it's really funny. At the end, all the people like it. All the people love it. You know, some people that I don't know, they walk around and come to me and say, "I never seen stage beautiful like this." Even though they, you know, it's not like Chinese people doing opera in America. They feel this is their own production because it put in the most important production in the year.
This is their anniversary production?
Yes, yes, yes. It's the most important one. And the people from New York Times and everybody come to San Francisco to look at this and want to see this.
What did they like it about?
I think one thing is the story is really easy understanding.
Okay.
And then they see the beauty that they are not so familiar, but it's really touching them.
Culture Express. See the world in color.
You had your career started in Hong Kong.
Yes.
And then after a few short years,
Yes.
you left Hong Kong for Taiwan, and
Yeah.
your real career took off there.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're living in Beijing, where you can find all these, you know, cultural roots even deeper, even bigger, massively speaking. But Hong Kong seems to be, people say that's a cultural desert. Is that one of the reasons you left Hong Kong at the time?
I think it's the main reason, because when I'm in Hong Kong, it's difficult for me to talk about spiritual things when people will thinking you are crazy.
Not understood by people around you?
Yeah, no, not easy. But I have some good friends, but you know, at the long terms, I cannot develop any spiritual culture thing. It's really hard.
Is it still like that these days?
Yeah.
Still?
But they're struggling, I think, in a way.
For what? For their identity?
I think it's for their identity. It's not for culture, yeah.
I guess people like yourself realize there is the need, and people don't really have the foundation, culturally speaking, to find their own identity.
Mm-hmm.
Why it hasn't been changed over all these decades?
In Hong Kong, you always find that people is always talk about friendship. You know, I have to...
On the personal basis?
Yeah, personal basis. And so they have relationship and become groups and groups of people. Different group, a different idea, different, you know, activity, different things.
But not as a whole?
Not as a whole, yeah.
So, I mean, in the good way, Hong Kong is the point where West meets East. Mm-hmm. But if you put it in a different way, from a different perspective, that's no one's land. Because all the influences coming from
they
outside.
still have many powerful people. It's really powerful people. It's like nowadays China becomes strong, and you know, I think Hong Kong people is some kind of pioneer, you know, like because it's for business basis. I think they are already really successful to have the whole thing change. Yeah, I think that way. Yeah.
Because you know, when you work with your colleagues in Europe, according to their understanding, New Orientalism is a way that can help people, or help the Western culture communicate better with Eastern culture. That you developed your theory, your own theory, New Orientalism. What does it mean?
New Orientalism is, I try to pick up the real ancient philosophy of China that is, I feel is really important and can helpful for nowadays world. And then we will create something, you know what I mean? I also want to get the identity, but now I'm not waiting for people to give me identity. I want to give something to the world.
You will make them understand your identity.
Yeah, we have to give something to the world. It's not asking for something from the world.
I mean, interesting, because I don't know if it is because you know both cultures or you're educated with both backgrounds, but at the same time, your work seems to be understood not only by Chinese but also by Westerners too. Mm-hmm. So, did you design your language, your designs, your design language in a way that will help, people from the West understand your work better, or basically it just, it comes out naturally?
I think I always thinking about origin things, like in China, I always keep up all the details of Chinese culture knowledge. I just jump down to the beginning. At the beginning. And then also the Western, I do the same. So that when I'm talking to them, we are talking on the beginning. We are not talking about details. We're talking about everything, the beginning of everything. So that we are really easy to talk about creative thing together. So that we are really easy to understand each other. Because everything is from there.
It's the universal.
Because I don't think the Western is a difference.
But we're so different, culturally speaking. We always talk about cultural shocks.
No, this is the surface. This is something like it's not the part of spirit. And the part of spirit, of course, they are different. But at the end, I always have the experience to talk to them in the really deep part. We will share something. This is no difference.
You do everything. You do a lot of things. How would you like to describe yourself? I mean, are you? Who is Tim Yip?
I have a new name. It's like a time traveler. Yeah. Time traveler.
Time traveler.
But it's not like a physical time traveler. You know what I mean? Because in my art, I already want to destructure the time into something else.
I thought I was talking to an artist, but actually I'm having a conversation with a time traveler. So, thank you so much for your time, time traveler, for your time.
Thank you.
And all the best.
Thank you.
Right.